Ooh. Hello, trick-or-treaters. Welcome to a special Halloween edition of the Big Deep Podcast. Before I scare everybody and bring in Alice, please subscribe, like, and share the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page to see all my content: football, baseball, basketball, hockey, golf, NASCAR, swimming, walking, running. Also, check out the Big Deep Podcast for all you audio listeners on Spotify and Apple. So back from fighting lions, tigers, and bears, running with cheetahs, and waddling like penguins, it's Alex.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction, Dylan. A pleasure to be back on the show as always for my little weekly NFL input. Yes, sir. Miami Dolphins took care of Detroit Lions. We love to see it. Tua is him, and I'm excited for the rest of the season. But I can't wait. I'm even talk about this week's slate with you, Dylan.
Well, how about last night's Sunday night slate between the Green Bay Packers and the Buffalo Bills? And I don't know about you, but that was the cockiest Buffalo Bill game I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Because it looked like the Bills had won like 4 or 5 Super Bowls, because it looked like Stephon Diggs and Jair Alexander were yapping even before the game.
Yeah, they definitely, it's two franchises who, at least in recent, for the Bills in recent history, used to winning, and the Green Bay Packers have had a storied history of winning football games. So it's going to get chippy. It's a primetime game. The Packers are upset about where their season looks, and the Bills are hyped about where their season is. So I'm not surprised it was a little bit of emotion. Definitely Stephon Diggs, Jair Alexander. It's the NFL. There's going to be emotions. There's going to be a little bit of conflict. These guys are putting their bodies on the line. So it's nothing out of the normal. It's nothing you don't see really every week. But it's just two teams, full competitors who are ready to go. But I will say I feel bad for anyone who took the Vegas line in this game, because missing the spread by half a point must have been a bit of a unsettling or spooky, as the Halloween theme may continue, look for people who bet that 10.5, finishing 27-17 in Buffalo's favor. But honestly, if you look at the stat line between this game, it was a lot closer than I think the actual football game itself was. At least on paper, the Packers put up 398 total yards against the Bills, 369. The Packers won the turnover battle. Aaron Jones finally showed up for the Green Bay Packers, got 143 yards rushing. You look at Josh Allen, this Buffalo Bills team, they're so dominant and the way, the lack of weapons, primarily that Aaron Rodgers has, it's really just, it's unfortunate for Packers fans because they're not used to really being in this position, but it's just a series of unfortunate events for the Green Bay Packers this year.
I must say, I know Green Bay lost, but I think Green Bay played pretty well, especially that second half. I love Aaron Jones last night. Why Green Bay hasn't given him the ball all year is beyond me, because it's basically Aaron Jones and nobody else. Aaron Rodgers playing behind a patchwork offensive line and no trustworthy wide receivers. You might have been catching passes last night.
Put me in green and gold. I'll strap it up. Let's go.
Maybe that will happen on Christmas, but we'll see. But to be honest, I was befuddled with Buffalo's game plan, because once you get a lead, guess what teams usually do? Run the ball. But what? But the Bills kept throwing the ball. They didn't give the ball to Devin Singletary. Josh Allen made a couple of big mistakes. And then it looked like Buffalo just said to Green Bay, hey, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. I know Stephon Diggs is great. He was, and he and Jair Alexander got into it. Maybe that was because Diggs was in Minnesota for all those years, but I didn't get Buffalo last night. Coming off a bye, when Green Bay's banged up and losing to lesser teams, you would think Buffalo would have come with a better, particularly second half effort. I think Buffalo in the first half looked like what we thought it was, but despite the loss, I think Green Bay learned a couple valuable lessons. One, I mean, Green Bay was down both of its middle linebackers, a bunch of wide receivers, offensive linemen, and then Mason Crosby's field goal was good. That would have been a one possession game. I don't think anybody would have predicted a one possession game late at halftime when
Yeah,
it was 24-7.
yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we've seen some very ugly performances from the Green Bay Packers this season. And you go into this game thinking, all right, you've got the Buffalo Bills with a week rest. You've got, arguably probably the most explosive quarterback in the NFL right now, offense in the NFL right now, with a Green Bay Packers team that is just declining and declining. This game had blowout written all over it. And like you said, you got to give the Green Bay Packers some credit. It looks like they finally have kind of figured out a little bit better about what their current identity of the team is, because I don't think that they had an identity leading up really until this week at all. You've got Aaron Rodgers with no one to throw to. You've got Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, who you refuse to use and use their skill sets to your advantage. It finally seemed like the Packers actually, like I said, had an identity and came to play on Sunday. Unfortunately, the crazy thing about it is, like you said, the Buffalo Bills did not play their best performance. They took their foot off the gas and they still beat the Green Bay Packers by 10 points. So, I think it says more about how dangerous and how scary Buffalo actually is, considering they really lost in the majority of the stat department. They didn't have the time of possession. Other than, really, if it wasn't for those Josh Allen interceptions in the fourth quarter, the game's probably even more lopsided than it really was. But it wasn't a perfect performance from the Buffalo Bills. It was a better performance from the Green Bay Packers, but obviously still one that they need to work on and really, really either make some moves before this trade deadline or figure something out, because sitting at 3-5 is definitely not where you want to be 8 weeks into the NFL season.
Hold on, I'm trying to see what Buffalo's schedule was. Trying to see what Buffalo did off its bye last year. Let's see. Well, it was weird. Like last year, sorry, Alex, but Buffalo beat Miami 26-11 last year. But last year I will say this: the week after playing Kansas City, Buffalo lost Tennessee, where the Bills went for fourth down. And to be honest with you, in this game, I think Buffalo looked too cocky. I think Buffalo's got to give Devin Singletary the ball. The Bills are way too reliant on Josh Allen. And that Buffalo team, especially in the second half, is not being Kansas City, is not being Philadelphia, and is for dang sure not being in San Francisco right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's weird to say that a team can have a wake-up call after a 27-17 victory, but I think that's exactly what Buffalo got. Obviously, their one loss of the season against my Miami Dolphins. Buffalo Bills fans love to give the injury excuses and the heat and exhaustion on the sideline, whatever it is.
Injury excuses. Look at Green Bay. Look at Green Bay last night playing without wide receivers, linemen, and linebackers.
Exactly. So, it's the NFL. You're going to get hurt. You just got to, every team in the league is going to be dealing with injuries. It's just whoever can overcome them the best. But as far as, I think that was something a little bit more excusable for Buffalo Bills fans and for the team itself to get over that Miami game. I think this game might have given them more to work off of as far as, improving and really fine tuning things down the stretch up until the playoffs start coming up. And I really do, like you said, I'm kind of piggybacking off you, but I think this was a big game for Buffalo to really fine tune and narrow down exactly, because when you're a football team as good as the Buffalo Bills are, you really kind of sometimes have to search for things to work on. So it's nice to have some inconsistencies, to have some problems, and especially if you can still do it and come out with a win. It's always you're always just trying to get better, especially for these playoff locks and teams that are really trying to make a Super Bowl run this season. You got to find where your weaknesses are and then correct them before the playoffs start, because once the playoffs come, it's too late to be fixing mistakes. So I think it's a good thing. We're Buffalo's 7 games in now. And for them, they're sitting at 6-1. You're happy where you are as a Buffalo Bills fan. Obviously, there's things every team can work on, but you're definitely not disappointed at the end of the day. But let's move on. We'll go back in time a little bit earlier in the slate to one of the most head-scratching, confusing, and just bizarre endings to a football game I think we've seen in a while. Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons. This game had everything, including helmets being removed, missed field goals, quarterbacks making magical runs in overtime. I'm sure you've all seen it before, but Mr. PJ Walker himself finds DJ Moore with 12 seconds left in the game for a 62-yard touchdown pass, brings the Carolina Panthers and Atlanta Falcons to a tie game. Extra point is all they need to seal the deal. And what does DJ Moore do after he catches his touchdown pass? Takes his helmet off, celebrates, goes crazy, and picks up a 15-yard penalty, pushing Eddy Pineiro back to a 48-yard extra point attempt, which of course he missed. The game goes to overtime. Carolina Panthers look like it's all saved after the interception on defense takes it back to Atlanta's 20-yard line. Eddy Pineiro steps up again for the game-winning field goal and shanks it left again. Marcus Mariota takes things over from there, runs it down the field, and Younghoe Koo makes his kick, splits the uprights, and Atlanta goes home with the victory. I want to know, Dylan, who do you blame more in this situation? Is it DJ Moore for the 15-yard penalty, removing his helmet, or is it Eddy Pineiro for missing his kicks?
Oh, Eddy Pineiro, 1,000%.
Absolutely.
Because yes, DJ Moore removed his helmet, but Eddy Pineiro still missed 2 kicks in a dome.
Yeah, exactly.
Including one of them, which was a new school extra point.
Yeah.
What DJ Moore did yesterday wasn't exactly great, but there have been some weird celebrations. His adrenaline would have been going bananas, thinking he won the game, because the Panthers-Falcons rivalry so underrated in the South.
Absolutely.
But in the end, Pineiro missed was the equivalent of a 48-yard field goal, and then a 32-yard field goal after the defense intercepted Mariota. But that was a wacky game Carolina was 1 kick away from being in first place at 3-5 after just firing Matt Rule a couple of weeks ago.
It's unreal. Yeah, I always, being a soccer player, I always have to feel for kickers. I always think kickers get some unnecessary hate, but man, Eddy Pineiro, it's tough to kind of give any sort of sympathy there, because you're obviously, a 48-yard extra point isn't ideal, but an NFL kicker should be able to make a 48-yard field goal, extra point, whatever it is, let alone. Yes, it's the pressure, it's the game-winning kick, everything's on the line, but it's your job. You get paid to do the job. You really, and obviously, that one is a little bit, I don't even know if it's more excusable, but when you go down to overtime and you've got a chip shot field goal, and you see all the time, if you see a kicker, push a field goal to the right, and then, obviously lose their confidence, and not the next time they might pull it to the left because they're overcompensating. He missed both of them to the left. So, I don't know if he was just misreading the wind, or, the second one looked like a
Just
shame.
winning the win. They win a freaking dome for
You're right. I mean, I'm trying, like I said, I love kickers. I'm trying to give them some benefit of the doubt, but there's really not much there. You got to be able to make at least one of those two kicks. You make the first one, we're not even talking about overtime. You make the second one, we're not talking about Marcus Mariota and the Atlanta Falcons getting the victory. So, it's an unfortunate situation. Obviously, DJ Moore probably feels bad. Eddy Pineiro definitely feels bad, but credit to Marcus Mariota and the Falcons. I mean, that's why they play the game. You got to keep playing until there are zeros on the clock. And the Atlanta Falcons definitely did, and the Carolina Panthers definitely did not. And they also wasted a 3 touchdown performance from Deonta Foreman. But that helps fantasy football players. Doesn't necessarily help the Carolina Panthers get the victory. So.
And weird. We thought, when we did our divisional breakdown, both of us thought the Atlanta Falcons could be one of these teams tanking for a Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, or the kid from Hendon Hooker from Tennessee. But the Atlanta Falcons aren't tanking. They're in first place.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the NFL, you think what's going to happen, and you never end up knowing what's going to happen. I mean, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 3-5. The Green Bay Packers are 3-5. Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, household names, are just going through it at personal life, on the field, at everything. It's
the LA Rams on 3-4 looked like poop yesterday.
Former Super Bowl champions. I mean, it's just. It's a weird season. You've got the Jets, you got the Giants. This is football, and this is why we love it. But there's not a man on earth who would have predicted these standings after 8 weeks of football.
All right, so there were a bunch of great running back performances yesterday. You mentioned Deonta Foreman scoring 3 touchdowns for Carolina. How about that? How about Tony Pollard scoring 3 touchdowns for the Dallas Cowboys? How about them Cowboys?
Absolutely.
Alvin Kamara finally scoring in the end zone, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Derrick Henry running for 9,000 yards against the Houston Texans, because that's what he always does. And Christian McCaffrey making history in Los Angeles, in Inglewood yesterday. So, which one running back performance stood out the most to you yesterday?
There's so many to choose from. I've seen a lot of people with 200s in their fantasy football stat line because a lot of players went off yesterday. But, I got to go with the last guy you mentioned, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, the man had not only did he score a hat trick, he scored a perfect hat trick with throwing a touchdown, catching a touchdown, and running in a touchdown as well. Man's got 100 QBR rating for the San Francisco 49ers. So if Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't work out, maybe they actually traded for their new franchise quarterback. You never know. But, it's just Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, he got a couple snaps in last week. It looked decent. He did really, he just joined the team, so you really couldn't expect much. But to come out really in your first real full week with the San Francisco 49ers and to put up 94 yards rushing, 55 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns, including a passing one. I have to give McCaffrey the credit. We know that the 49ers have one of the best run schemes and run games in the NFL, just based on their game plans and their just coaching. But so obviously bringing in Christian McCaffrey was a splash, and it is sure paying off for them because the man had himself a day yesterday.
Yeah. How about CMC becoming the first running back since LT in 2005 to run, catch, and throw for a touchdown in the same game?
Yeah. The man can do it all. We thought he could do it all before, and then all of a sudden he's even going past what we expected for him. And I know he made you happy because I know Mr. Big D himself has Christian McCaffrey on a fantasy team or two.
Well, what if I told you that this player? Let me see if you can guess this guy. In his last 4 games against the Houston Texans, this player has rushed for 211 yards and 3 touchdowns, 212 yards and 2 touchdowns, 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, and yesterday 219 yards and 2 touchdowns. Who would you think he is?
I'm gonna say it's the King.
Yes. And let's see. It's even more impressive knowing that Malik Willis was starting and the Titans threw the ball 10 times. Everybody in the stadium knew Tennessee was going to run the ball. Rookie quarterback back, and Houston didn't have a prayer in stopping Derrick Henry. 4 straight 200-yard games against the same team. The Texans should be thankful Derrick Henry didn't play against them last year. Otherwise, he would have run for like 900. Otherwise, he could have run for 1,000 yards in 6 games against the Texans.
It's crazy. I mean, it's absolutely mad. I'm a big Malik Willis fan. I had high hopes for him going into this season. Obviously, I mean, he's the backup to Ryan Tannehill, but I did have a feeling that Malik Willis was going to get a start eventually. So I had my eyes tuned on this game, but I was not watching Malik Willis at that point. I was watching the Derrick Henry show. I mean, the man literally carried the team on his back. It was a completely overtaking performance of the Houston Texans. I mean, you want to talk about Aaron Rodgers telling the Chicago Bears, who's your daddy? I mean, Derrick Henry is the father of the Houston Texans, and it's not even up for debate. I mean, it's just, there's nothing else you have to say about it. You could have started a Pee Wee football player at quarterback and Derrick Henry, it would have been the same result. I mean, it's ridiculous, and it's honestly an honor to watch someone take over a football game like Derrick Henry did yesterday.
Oh, by the way, who used Derrick Henry and our friendly little DK head-to-head yesterday?
That was you, Dylan. I almost did, and I went with Saquon. I changed it up, and I definitely paid for that.
All right, with the trade deadline 24 hours or so for now, there are some hypothetical trades with you that intrigue us, Alex. So, Alex, what's one hypothetical trade you want to see take place?
There's a lot of players whose names have been out on the market, whether selling, whether buying. There's obviously, with this time of year, there's always going to be rumors going around. It's just a case of really who wants to make a move and who's got the ability to make the move. One name that I really want to see find a new home, I think he'd be a beast on a new team. He's already a beast, but he's not the number one guy there. I want to see Kareem Hunt. I want to see Kareem Hunt leave the Cleveland Browns. I think Nick Chubb is plenty good enough of a running back to really handle the load there. I don't think they need Kareem Hunt, and I think Kareem Hunt can thrive in another team. Obviously, we know what he did in Kansas City before, really when he put his name out on the map. It really just needs to go to a running back hungry team. I think there's a couple different options. I think if the Rams get rid of Cam Akers, I mean, I don't think that they would do necessarily a 1-for-1 swap, but if the Rams move on from Cam Akers, I think Kareem Hunt would be a nice little addition to Matt Stafford's offense there. I think it can maybe help the Rams turn their season around, because they were so dominant last season, and Darrell Henderson hasn't really stepped up much. They had Cam Akers, who they had hopes for at the beginning of the season, who has just shown absolutely nothing. They really need, and I mean, obviously it's the Cooper Kupp show over there. Hopefully he is feeling fine based off of his injury this week, but they need a couple more dimensions. We finally saw Allen Robinson step up last week. Tyler Higbee's been a decent little contributor, but it's really Matthew Stafford locking on to Cooper Kupp. And I think teams know that. And if you can even slow Cooper Kupp down, the Rams don't really seem like they have any other options other than getting him the ball. So I think getting another playmaker, getting someone who can actually, find success on the ground and really open up that run game, so you can get that ball out to Cooper Kupp more, so you can get that ball out to Allen Robinson more. I'd like to see Kareem Hunt go to the Rams. What do you think? What are you thinking, Dylan?
Did you see who was the Rams starting running back yesterday? Ronnie Rivers. When I heard the name, I'm like, the last Ronnie I saw start a tailback was Ronnie Brown for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
But you know what? We've already seen one blockbuster deal for a running back. I've got another one in mind.
All right.
You want to know how I solved Buffalo's lack of running back issues? Buffalo, go get Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
Buffalo, go get Alvin Kamara.
I don't think they'd have a bad word to say about that deal. I don't know. I mean, boy, it would be a blockbuster. I'd be very interested to see what the compensation would have to be for that, because I mean, obviously Christian McCaffrey didn't pull a first round pick, but I mean, they got a boatload of picks anyway for him. So I would love to see what Alvin Kamara would bring in a trade as opposed to McCaffrey. But I mean, it would make the Bills ridiculous. I don't want to see it, obviously, because I'm in the same division. I do not need Alvin Kamara in my division, but it would be. I mean, it would be a show, that's for sure.
I'm just saying. Let's see. Alvin Kamara running, receiving, and he also takes the pressure off Diggs, Gabriel Davis, Dawson Knox. How do you stop a Buffalo offense with the best quarterback in football, a top 3 or 4 running back, Diggs and Gabriel Davis? Dawson Knox, a matchup nightmare in the red zone. You're not stopping that offense. No. I don't care about picks. Who cares about picks? Who cares about picks anyway? You think the Rams care about picks because they won the Super Bowl? No. You think the 49ers care about picks because Sam Francisco traded 4 picks for Christian McCaffrey? No. Be aggressive. So what? Who cares about picks? Go win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is that especially for the Buffalo Bills, because these fans in Buffalo are diehard. We know Bills Mafia. We know what they can do. We know what they're capable of as a fan base. But just the fact that they've gone to 4 Super Bowls in a row and lost every one, they have yet to actually get their hands on a Lombardi Trophy. You are absolutely right. Forget the picks. Do whatever it is you can to get to that Super Bowl and to take that Lombardi Trophy home. I mean, now is the time. I mean, they're one of the most dominant football teams in the NFL. They have one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. And the way the NFL landscape is, man, you never know what's coming. You never know. I mean, you've got to take advantage of the opportunity when it arises. Now is the time for the Buffalo Bills I mean, they're in the prime of their careers. They've got the connection between Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. They have to go for it. And I absolutely agree. There's no use stockpiling picks to get rookies that you need to develop. You need to get as many playmakers and as we talked about earlier, fill up as many holes and find your weaknesses now before the playoff run. And I honestly think it's a great move for them. Obviously, I mean, it's Alvin Kamara, but I don't see why they want to do it, because they're already Super Bowl probably favorites already. And you add Alvin Kamara and there's no stopping them. But it is time for one of our favorite segments of the Big D podcast. Dylan, I know you have a rant today, and I am so excited to hear it. So the floor is yours.
Why do they always send my teams to Wembley? That just pisses me off. Why can't we play at Sproul Stadium? We do better there. My teams do better there than at Wembley.
Yeah.
But it is completely ridiculous that my Jacksonville Jaguars lost to the freaking Denver Broncos yesterday. How did we lose against the Denver Broncos? Give me a break.
Trevor Lawrence threw a very untimely interception.
Don't remind me. I'm gonna lay off some steam in that. But the Jacksonville Jaguars have no business losing to Denver Broncos. Jags are used to going to London. The last time Denver went to London, John Elway was playing quarterback. But it's ridiculous. That interception by Trevor Lawrence yesterday was inexcusable. Inexcusable. he was well. You know me. I'm the biggest Trevor Lawrence fan, but I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm beginning to wave on him because that interception was bad. That yesterday was the worst game Trevor Lawrence played all year. And everybody's saying, well, the Philadelphia game. Yeah, they played that game in a hurricane. The weather in London yesterday was beautiful. The weather wasn't an excuse. Jackson was a healthier team. And yet we lost the game because Jacksonville's quarterback played like.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm beginning to wave on Trevor. I mean, be honest, the 2021 draft class looks like a four-letter word I'm not going to use on this podcast, but Trevor Lawrence does not look great. There have been moments this year, both Indianapolis games, the LA game, but right now, Trevor Lawrence does not look like a number one pick should. We're not seeing the drastic improvement. We're seeing good games and then crappy games. And I know Denver's got a really good defense. I love Patrick Surtain Jr. I love some of those guys, but Jackson's got to be better. Yeah, Trevor Etienne was great yesterday, but where were the dang receivers? I mean, let me see. Trevor yesterday was, let me see. He was not good. 18-31 for 133 yards for a 13.9 QBR. Let me see. 18-31 for 133 yards. You're sure he didn't go to Iowa of all people? You're sure he didn't go to Purdue or Wisconsin?
I mean,
give me a freaking break. I mean, that QBR, heck, you and I could have done the QBR, better QBR left-handed.
It wasn't good. I mean, Evan Ingram was the leading.
Be honest, Evan Ingram, thank goodness for Evan Ingram yesterday. Otherwise, none of the Jacksonville receivers should have been in London. I mean, Christian Kirk is not a number one receiver. I've been saying him for the last 3 or 4 weeks. The Jaguars need a number one receiver because the Cincinnati Bengals became a top flight offense when Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase got together. We've seen how DeAndre Hopkins has sort of made Kyler Murray better. I mean, maybe not win-wise, but you know why. And you can attest because your Miami Dolphins have become a different offense with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill catching passes from Tua. Who's leading the NFL in receiving yards through the first 8 weeks?
Tyreek Hill.
And who's leading the NFL in passer rating?
Tua Tagovailoa.
Where's Trevor Lawrence on that list?
Way down there.
Where is he on the list? Tell me who's around him.
I don't know, but I know it's got to be bottom 5. I'm sure. He's probably sitting there with God. I don't even know. Not Jalen Hurts. I almost said Jalen Hurts. Oh my gosh. Justin Fields is probably down there with him.
Let me see. This is gonna make me vomit. This is gonna make me vomit.
Matt Ryan's probably down there as well.
Oh my gosh. Trevor Lawrence is 21st in passer rating. You know who's in front of him?
Geno Smith for sure.
Oh, Geno Smith's number 3.
Yeah.
You know who's in front of him? You know who's in front of him?
Cooper Rush.
I don't even know what Cooper Rush is. Cooper Rush is 29.
Wow.
Andrew Jones is in front of him. Brian Hoyer is in front of him.
Oof.
Marcus Mariota is in front of him. Andy Dalton. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh no.
Jared Goff. I mean, the bench Matt Ryan's 1/10 of a point behind Trevor Lawrence. This is pathetic. This is pitiful. And by the way, I hate talking about Wembley. When my Chelsea Football Club played the Carabao Cup final, the FA Cup final, and now this game, there is a Wembley jinx going on. My teams can't win there. We can't win a cup. We can't win a League Cup final. We can't win an FA Cup final. We can't win a freaking NFL game. Because I think the last game we played there a couple years ago against the Eagles, we lost.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
And you were right about the Spurs stadium. I mean, obviously, I don't want to go back and remember it, but the London game last season, Dolphins Jaguars, Urban Meyer's first win of his first and only win of his NFL career.
Beat the Bills.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He beat the Bills. You know, it's just, you're right. I mean, there's got to be something about Wembley with your both of your teams, but specifically the Jacksonville Jaguars. You guys definitely need a receiver. I mean, I like Trevor Lawrence. I feel bad for the kid. It's hard to watch, but I mean, when you get the ball down 4, I mean, that's the time that every quarterback has dreamed about, to lead an NFL franchise down a touchdown with 1 drive left on the clock, 2-minute drill. And the first pass of that drive, the first play of that drive is an interception. I mean, it's just, you got to know where you are in the game. You have to, I mean, obviously you have to take some chances. You got to move the ball downfield, but you can't make a mistake like that. The first play of the drive and you're throwing that game away. I mean, ruins the Travis Etienne game. I mean, it's unfortunate because the Jaguars have a good little team there. I mean, you've got a good defense. Obviously you have a good rushing game with Etienne, but you're right. And I mean, that 2021 draft class, I mean, we were hailing that 2021 quarterback draft class when it came out. And Mac Jones
and it's all poop.
It's just not good. I mean, obviously Mac Jones has been in a quarterback controversy with Bailey Zappi, the rookie. I mean, Justin Fields has not looked good. Obviously,
Zach Wilson
looked bad. It's just not.
And Trey Lance can't get on the dang field.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, especially in the football card hobby, in the football card market, 2021 was huge. And all of a sudden those prices are dropping. The 2020 quarterbacks, now that's what we're talking about.
Okay, that's enough, please. So, well, maybe not her, but this year, but we know why.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Alex. Thanks for allowing me to let off some steam. I feel much better. I'm sweating now. And we wish you Dolphins well up against Justin Fields and the Bears. And thank goodness we're playing the Raiders next week because I'm ready to take on Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams.
All right. Thanks for having me, Dylan. It's a pleasure as always. Great to be here. I will see you next week, hopefully after a Dolphins victory against the Bears. And you know what it is. Fins up, baby.